What I'm drawing here is the boundary between two materials. In this example, it's between air and glass, between air and a mirror. And what I'm drawing here is the normal. The normal is a line drawn 90 degrees to the surface of the boundary. This is the incident ray. It is the ray that approaches the boundary. So this wave approaches the boundary. It's called the incident ray. And this angle between the incident ray and the normal is called the angle of incidence. Angle of incidence. So the angle of incidence is the angle between the incident ray and the normal. And we can measure the angle of incidence using a protractor. So I'm using a protractor here to measure the angle of incidence. This angle of incidence is 45 degrees. It's question time. Attempt these questions to check your understanding. Because it's a mirror, the light is going to reflect off the mirror. So the law of reflection states that the angle of incidence equals the angle of reflection. So if the angle of incidence is 45 degrees, the angle of reflection in this example will be 45 degrees. So what I'm drawing here is the reflected ray. This is the wave that is reflected from the boundary, in this case the mirror. Reflected ray. And this is the angle of reflection. The angle of reflection. It is the angle between the normal and the reflected ray. We know that this angle should be 45 degrees because the angle of incidence is 45 degrees. Remember the law of reflection. The angle of incidence equals the angle of reflection. It's question time. Attempt these questions to check your understanding. So remember, the law of reflection is the angle of incidence equals angle of reflection. You can see that here. The angle of incidence is 45 degrees and the angle of reflection equals 45 degrees. Angle of incidence equals angle of reflection. And if the angle of reflection is 33 degrees, the angle of incidence will be 33 degrees. If the angle of incidence is 21 degrees, the angle of reflection will be 21 degrees. It's question time. Attempt these questions to check your understanding. Press pause to practice using those key words. The answers will follow. Press pause to go through your answers and make any corrections to your mistakes. Press pause to answer the questions. The answers will follow. And if you're stuck, just re-watch the video. Press pause to go through your answers and make any corrections to your mistakes.